Alrighty, welcome to the third part of the interview of Hollywood Big Boss.
Yep.
I have my clipboard back.
Again,
after you had to borrow it for The Alchemist.
Yeah, I mean, that interview was really... It was a lot less tense than I thought it would be, interviewing Alchemist of all people. But, you know, now we're getting into the aftermath of the shit show that we talked about last time.
Yeah.
Oh boy, aftermath of the shit show.
Hey, well, once you hit rock bottom, you can't go any further down, right?
Ain't that the truth?
Alrighty, well, to start it off, what were your thoughts on the Pontiac Duelist League severing ties with the Central Illinois League?
Well, let's take a look at that question in 4 parts.
Mm-hmm.
It was necessary to sever the relationship with that group. They weren't wanting the same thing that we were wanting. As you know, I talked to Kappa W. I think it was July 11th. So there's going to be some new information in this interview that before that meeting I didn't have. But let's start off with 4 people who were central to, everything. Let's start off with Dzankic. My relationship with him, I have no idea what the fuck happened to him. Mm-hmm. He just stopped talking to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even know. We never had a fight. Mm-hmm. Nothing. And it's like, what happened? What did I do wrong? Kind of like, it's so weird that it's like, we're friends for all these years, and then all of a sudden, radio silence.
Yeah.
Root Beer Guy, he was loyal to Kappa W.
Yep.
So when we went our separate ways and me and Kappa had problems, Root Beer Guy picked Kappa's side, which, I don't fault him for it, because it's like, well, you were friends with him first and everything, and we did hang out in the past, but it might have been awkward if he tried to stay along with me. That being said, though, too, I did try to talk to him there for a while afterwards, but there was something that I had told him in confidence. I don't remember quite what it was. It wasn't even anything big.
Yeah.
But I had mentioned it to him, and then Sigma V, of all people, mentioned it back to me, and I'm like, really? The only person I told was Root Beer Guy about that. So whatever I was telling Root Beer Guy, unfortunately, he was telling Kappa W and Sigma V, which is sad.
Yeah.
Kappa W, at this time, the damage was done to our personal and business relationship completely.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like, I really didn't like the direction that he was going. Either he did not explain how he wanted to run his group and everything, because my main plan was Central Illinois Duelists. That's going to be the Pontiac Duelist League's primary thing. PDL and RDL are going to be underneath this umbrella. He'll manage the website. That's not what he ever intended. Which he didn't do a very good job of saying, hey, this is what I want to do. And then you have Sigma V, who was causing the problems between all of us.
Yeah.
Once again, playing Puppet Master. I mean, he made sure that me and Kappa were at odds with each other. And by this point, I knew that he was full of shit. Like, he had been outed because of the fight with Corvus at the high school. Then I came to find out from Kappa W that he had tried getting Dzankic together with Kappa W and himself, Sigma, and that did not work out very well. And then he later on tried to get Kappa W together with Malachi Kime and the group of the Remnant, and that, once again, did not go well at all either, because pretty much you don't kiss those guys' ass right out the gate. They don't give a damn about you. Like,
yeah.
It's just so ridiculous that those people, it's like, they are the most toxic people, and it's like, why are you friends with these guys who are treating everyone else like shit?
Yeah.
And he continuously tries to bring other people in, and all they're going to do is treat them like crap.
Yeah.
And then I come to find out that Dzankic's hanging out with Malachi Kime, Sigma, and Nidair, and I'm like,
yeah.
How? All they ever did was use you for the butt of your jokes. What the hell happened? How bad did it get that you couldn't, get away from that? It's mind-boggling, honestly.
There's a lot of dumb.
Yeah.
What was your plan for the Pontiac Duelist League after breaking off from the Central Illinois League?
Well, me and Anubis had talked and everything. My tentative plan was to close it around June of 2009 if we couldn't get things back on our feet.
Yep.
And very few people knew about this. I briefly mentioned this in the Mantis interview, that I had talked with Anubis about this, because it's like, hey, if we can't bounce back from here, then there's no point in trying. I'll still be friends with you. We'll hang out.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Like, Anubis was so instrumental, as was Executioner, of getting me to get off my ass, get back in the game, try to find some form of way to recover the group, get more people in, re-energize the group, reboot it even if we had to. Executioner pretty much had said that there was nothing that Kappa W could have been done on our end to hold him to his end of the agreement in that duel. Well, if you really look at it, there's nothing that he could have done to hold me to my end. And I know that talking to Anubis and Executioner after that, they never would have let me keep my end of doing PDL, even if it meant that I had to sell off PDL to Anubis and then have it be his group that I'm a part of. But he said if that ever happened, I would still manage everything. It'd just be he'd be the owner.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay. But he had a plan like that. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Because someone, that young, and his main idea is like, oh, I still want to keep doing this. So it's like, the fact that he wanted to keep going made me want to keep going. Then you also have the fact that I was really indecisive after all of this had really happened.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 things, aside from Anubis and Executioner, happened in a row that I just had to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, I had went to church a couple weeks after this, and the lesson that my pastor had given was, you never know how far you'd get, or could have gotten, if you give up now.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, I see something else, where someone else is giving a similar message. I don't remember who it was, but it was something I saw on TV. Then I was watching a Kiss documentary. I think it was When Kiss Ruled the World. Was really unusual because Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons were wearing their makeup, but Ace Frehley and Peter Criss weren't wearing theirs. I think it was during like 02 or 04, somewhere in that time period, because they weren't in the band, not legally able to, wear their costume and makeup because of, they didn't own the rights anymore. But Paul and Gene hammering the fact of, we never gave up, it's like, okay, I get it. I shouldn't throw in the towel right now. It's like, there's a reason why all this happened. Quitting now would make all of that meaningless.
Yeah.
Everything that we had went through, meaningless, so I had to keep going forward.
Yeah. What was your plan going forward with Executioner as a duelist and as a character?
Well, here's the real interesting thing as Executioner. When we first did the Pontiac Duelist League Revenge Tour, I made people think that Executioner and Shotgun Dude were 2 separate people.
Okay.
Because what I would do is, if he won a duel, I would list Executioner won, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
If he lost a duel, I'd say Shotgun Dude lost to this person.
Okay.
So I didn't want people to know that Executioner was Shotgun Dude. In fact, I even did a video where it had myself, Sigma, Root Beer Guy, and Cap W's pictures in it. And it was talking about Executioner. It gave the date for Cap W, Sigma V, and Root Beer Guy, and it made it look like, oh, he's coming for Hollywood next. But it was just a way to, introduce this new character and keep people like, he's got someone new already? Who the hell is this?
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the open trials that the Pontiac Duelist League hosted between April and May of 2009?
God fucking awful. There's a story I have to tell, and it bears repeating because it's so fucking stupid. Like, I put something in the paper, an ad, about, meeting up at Pontiac Public Library to try out for Pontiac Duelist League, whatever. I think there were 9 times where we met with people up there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them were so fucking bad. I mean, the one time, I don't remember order or whatever, but I remember this one time, this one lady came in with like 5 or whatever kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and she thought I was a freaking babysitter. It was so dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, beyond dumb. And she didn't even know what the hell it was. And I'm like, look, lady, I'm not a fucking babysitter. I'm here to run a duelist league. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for serious competitors who know the card game. I'm not talking about the American 6 and up card game. I'm talking about the Japanese 13 and up. And I'm talking about the manga, which people get killed. Yeah. And mentioning that Maximilian Pegasus had Bandit Keat blow his brains out in that.
Yeah.
And it's like, lady, you are barking up the wrong tree. She got all in a huff because it's like, it's not, how dumb can you get?
Yeah.
It's like, really? And that might have been the last one, come to think of it, because I stopped taking, the open trial things after that. Just so fucking dumb.
What were your thoughts on losing the Pontiac Duelist League World Champion to Lord Anubis on April 21st of 2009?
Well, I had given Anubis an ultimatum after the open challenges failed and everything.
Yep.
Even though it was early. We're going to have a duel. If I win, it's over. It's done. It's finished. If you win, then we'll keep going.
Yeah.
And that might have been before the church thing happened. I just don't quite remember timeline on this thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was one of the best duels I had ever gotten out of Anubis to that point. He absolutely threw everything into it. He made a comeback in that thing, which was just so good. And it's like, okay, Anubis has beaten me for the world title. He's proven that he's improved. Mm-hmm. And he deserved the shot that he was given because of all the work that he was putting in with me to try and get this thing back up off the ground. Executioner, I think, might have been sick again at this time. Mm-hmm. Because I know for a good chunk of the trials and some of the other stuff that Executioner was not present. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just, it was a shot in the arm. It's like, okay, Anubis can beat me. He's proven that he, is better than those who were trying to, take the title and everything. He had grown as a duelist. So it's like, okay, ball's on you. Let's run with it and let's make the most of it.
Yeah. Why did you sell 33.3% of the Pontiac Duelist League to Lord Anubis?
Well, Lord Anubis, we had both seen a video that Sigma V had put out online at the time saying, do whatever you want with my stuff in PDL. I want nothing to do with it. Fuck you, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And
that I believe was the 17th. When we officially severed the ties was when he did that video. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right after that, my main point is we need to get this thing stable. Yep. I had bought Dazan Kick Out, so I had 100% ownership of the Pontiac Duelist League, and we'll get into talking about some more stuff that happened a little bit afterwards that we discovered with that. The reason why I sold it is that Anubis wanted it.
Okay.
Like, he actually asked me about it after, because he was keeping an eye on a couple of things on Sigma's one channel, which he was uploading stuff on. So it's like, okay, we'll have a look at this one. But yeah, since he said, I don't want it, it's like, Anubis wanted to buy it, and since Sigma V wanted to make me a punchline in one of his jokes, I made him a punchline in one of mine, who's only worth $11. Sigma V. That's what all of his assets were sold for. That's what his name, which is actually owned by DC Comics, Volcana. He tried to go after us because he's like, you can't fucking use my name, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, the only reason why we stopped that is that Anubis was actually, because his mom was with someone who was involved with law at the time, dating out of town or whatever, he was trying to get a hold of the trademark for it, then, or copyright or whatever.
Yeah.
So that way, Sigma, if he tried to do anything, he would, be like, hey, I got the actual copyright on this. You can't do shit. Come to find out that DC Comics has that thing locked down tighter than Fort Knox because it's one of their characters in the DC Universe, Volcana. Okay. So it's like, let's just abandon ship on this because it's like, there's no way that we can use this.
No.
And it's like, you tried, and you ran into that roadblock. Let's not try and step on toes on this. Yeah. And that's how we kind of shifted to Lord Anubis. Because I was playing the game Zone of the Enders and everything. And the second game, Zone of the Enders, the Second Runner, the Japanese name for it is Anubis Zone of the Enders. And yet the two main frames in that game, you have Jehuti, which the main character plays in both games. And then you have the opposite frame, Anubis. Okay. So it's like, you know what? This might be something here. You have the Egyptian god of the underworld who judges the dead. That would be a pretty cool thing that we haven't done. So it's like, you know what? Let's use Anubis. Let's get away from, like, you own his assets and everything. That's yours. I'm not disputing it, but because we have this roadblock, let's use Anubis, and he became Lord Anubis.
Yeah. Alright, fair enough. When did you create a new Pontiac Duelist League charter, and who signed it?
It would have been either late April or early May of 2009. Essentially, I hadn't found quite all of my records from early PDL and everything at this time. So we were pretty much being like, okay, we're going to start over. I even had done a thing when we started getting more members back in and everything, that all contracts that were previously signed on, I think it was July 31st, would be automatically terminated, and you had to sign a new contract to be rolled over into Pontiac Duelist League after this date. Well, the people who signed the charter, there were 3 signatures on this one. Myself, HollywoodBigBoss, 66.7% majority owner. Lord Anubis, 33.3% minority owner, and then Executioner, which was executive officer of the Pontiac Duelist League, which really didn't have any power. It just had him on paper as, someone who people could go to if there was something going on or whatever, and we were unavailable.
Yeah.
But it was necessary to update our paperwork and be like, this is who we have in the league, this is who's in charge. The buck stops here, and let's move forward with Pontiac Duelist League. Let's go forward with what we have, and let's make this something we can be proud of again.
Yeah. That's fair enough. What changes did you and Lord Anubis, and Executioner make to your decks during this time?
Well, Executioner, there was actually something that I had talked with Sigma V about, and I had gotten. I'd gotten another copy of Harakathy from Japan because I had a seller over there who was able to get a hold of copies, Orca copies of the card and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So I had bought one for Sigma, and as you know, no payment, our friendship disintegrates and everything.
Yeah.
Executioner, for all the work that he did, I just gave him the card. I took the $60 or whatever hit it was, and it's like, it's yours. Lord Anubis, he got a ritual Harakathy. He, however, did actually pay me for the card and everything. Executioner did get the Winged Dragon of Ra and Obelisk the Tormentor added to his deck, so it was no longer just Slifer. Got Judgment of the Pharaoh and Executioner's deck. Anubis had already gotten a copy.
Okay.
An English one. So I was quite surprised that he was able to get a hold of that card. Anubis, there really wasn't a whole lot of changes that had to be made to his deck once that Harakathy was in it.
Yeah.
Executioners was the one that had the most change because his deck was a 60-card deck, but we wanted to make it a little bit more... I'm trying to think of how to word this.
Efficient?
Yeah, efficient would work. Just so that way, even if he didn't get the greatest hand, we ended up taking Javelin Beetle out of the deck, so it would only have Zera the Mant and Mass Beast in it. He was starting to get more copies of the Smorg. The Harpy Lady cards, he started focusing a little bit more on that for spam plays for tribute summoning and everything. Which that deck, as you know, can tribute summon like crazy.
Yeah.
And effect damage like crazy.
Yes.
Executioner got a copy of Barrel Behind the Door as well during this time. So that way it's like he can throw effect damage back at an opponent and just really wreak havoc. Anubis, he really just made his deck a little bit more stable.
Okay.
Like, it was a good skeleton, but he just perfected it at this time.
Yeah.
It was real minimal changes that he had made. But yeah, that pretty much covers the changes to the decks that I can think of at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Why did you and Lord Anubis go through the Pontiac Duelist League's championship history and make changes to it?
Well, the main reason that we made changes to it was Sigma V using illegal decks and breach of contract.
Yeah.
You had some instances like where myself and Sigma teamed against Executioner and Demon, and we won the titles and then forfeited them back to them because it's like Sigma used one of my decks. And it wasn't originally supposed to be a title match.
Yeah.
So we just completely took that whole thing out of the title history and made it just their reign all the way through until we beat them legitly.
Yeah.
That being set aside, Sigma V was also using other people's decks in the high school that we knew about. We also knew that for Sigma V's title reign, which I can bring it up here on this assignment book, which, when it came back to our World Championship and everything that had happened, we originally had Sigma V as winning the championship on September 24th, but we ended up stripping that off of him because he was using a deck that wasn't owned by him. That being said, though, too, sorry, I went a little bit too far ahead here. And during this entire time, he had 2 title defenses. So it's like, why the hell keep that on there? Because he had a PDL versus LC championship defense, and he had a PDL championship duel against Tiger King, which he barely won. And then he never defended it until then, so it's like we just transplanted part of the Pontiac Undisputed Championship and the Livingston County Championship on top of it, because I was supposed to face Dzankik the following Monday, I believe. Let me go through my physical paperwork. Don't you just love that?
Yeah.
Actually, it would have been September 29th. Dzankik returned and won a Fatal 4-Way to retain the LC Championship. So, and it was supposed to be for both titles. Well, Sigma didn't participate in that duel, so it's like, screw it.
Yeah.
That duel's for both titles, and Dzankik wins.
Fair enough.
But the main reason is that Sigma V wasn't sticking to the contract. He was not upholding the rules of that agreement.
Yeah.
So why acknowledge it when, it's obviously bullshit?
Yeah.
That being said, though, too, as you know, on our title histories at the very end, we have notes about vacancies, decision reversals, all that.
Yeah.
All those changes got put down on there as notes. So that way it's still on there. Like, I can come to, let's bring this up real quick, DSF World Championship. I can pull this up, go all the way, decision reversal on September 17th, 05, or actually that's when we broke off, decision reversal May 25th, September 24th, April 2nd. I have all of that information on here.
Yep.
It's like, we're acknowledging that it happened, it's just not on the primary title history.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's important for us to remember not only the good stuff, but the mistakes that we've made along the way.
Yeah.
And even though pencils have erasers, it's kind of nice to know that this also happened as well, so that way we can kind of keep up with it.
Yeah. How did Mantis, Kayla Rodriguez, and Chris return to the Pontiac Duelist League?
Well, Kayla Rodriguez and Chris, as much as I hate to say it, and as much as I hate to bring this person up, Corvus, at the time, I had found out about the fight with Sigma V that I had been lied to. I don't remember if I ran into him in person first, or if I messaged him on YouTube first. But either way, both times I apologized to him. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was lied to. I was not told what really happened. Sigma lied to me. I believed him. I took his word at face value when I shouldn't. I should have done a much better job. I told him about the guys on the football team who had his back.
Yeah.
Who told me about it, showed me the camera footage. And he offered to bring Kayla Rodriguez and Chris into the Pontiac Duelist League again. Mantis would return at a slightly later date because I wasn't having contact with him at the time. And I'm going to absolutely try to keep my talk of Corvus as minimal as possible, but unfortunately at this time there was so much happening that I have to mention him in a historical context.
Yeah.
That, as much as I don't want to bring up the person, this was before he had his problems with bipolar, with schizophrenia, and all that stuff. And partially in my mind, it's still kind of hard to come to grips with the fact that someone who was such a nice person and all that stuff did something so foul and unforgivable as what he did, that it's like, it's kind of hard to believe that they're both the same person, but they are.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, Mantis did end up coming back later. Kayla Rodriguez and Chris were there first. Corvus actually, I think, was unable to attend the first event that we had with Executioner because he had football practice. So it was myself, Executioner, and a couple others, and then Kayla Rodriguez and Chris.
Gotcha. What were your thoughts on Kayla Rodriguez defeating Executioner and Chris in her first duel back to win the NWO championship on May 16th of 09, and her subsequent 34-day reign as champion?
What the fuck just happened? Think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Me and Executioner beat Sigma V and Kappa W, mainly Executioner single-handedly.
Yep.
And Kayla Rodriguez comes back, having not dueled probably since 07.
Yeah.
First duel back, beats him. Her deck is not even fixed yet.
Yeah.
This is just a dry run to see where we're going to end up with.
Which deck was it?
Hero.
Oh, her hero.
Elemental Hero.
That makes sense.
And she didn't have nowhere near the fusion set she has now. She didn't even have Flame Wingman.
Oh, jeez.
Like, it's just so stunning that she won that duel. Her first duel back, and she wins. I was speechless.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how to react to that. It's a triple threat. Oh, Executioner can solo these two girls. Nope, that ain't happening. Draga beat him. And 34-day reign as champion, she ended up retaining against Executioner one-on-one 2 more times.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why did you bring back the Pontiac Duelist League Hardcore Championship on May 21st of 09?
Alright, when Corvus came back to the Pontiac Duelist League, well, actually came into it, because before he was just trial, now he was actually in the league.
Yep.
He was a big fan of ECW. He wanted to be the hardcore champion.
Okay.
And I didn't really want to bring the Sigma V joke title back to the Pontiac Duelist League. I wanted to leave it dead and buried. I wanted to go forward with just the World Championship, the NWO Championship, and maybe the tag. They were kind of sitting inactive at the time.
Yeah.
But he just kept pushing and pushing and pushing until I'm like, fine. You duel me. If you win, you're the hardcore champion. If you lose, you get nothing. And, well, he won. So, yeah. I bricked in that duel. I'm, willing to admit it, but it is what it is. The Sigma V Joke title was back in the fray, and yeah.
Yeah. Why did you bring... Oh, whoops. What was the purpose of the promo film with the PDL Hardcore Championship with the 2 belts on June 22nd of 09?
Okay, so we had the Jakks Pacific Foam WWE belts. We had the WWE Hardcore title and the ECW World title. And back in the time, the ECW World title was representing the RDL Championship, and the Hardcore title was representing, the Sigma V Joke title. Anyway, I had this idea for this promo where it's like, we're going to change this over. It's going to be a new hardcore division. We're going to make something of it, even though I'm not really liking the fact that we're using this championship. And mainly what we did is we threw down the belt representing the Sigma V Joke title, and we had him show off the former RDL championship and say, this is my hardcore championship.
Yeah.
So it was a way to be like, okay, this is going to be a new thing.
What were your thoughts on Mantis returning and winning the NWO championship on June 29th of 09?
Yeah, it wasn't the NW 2.0 championship.
Yeah, I keep saying that.
It was the New World Organization championship. I've just abbreviated. But Mantis returning, first duel back, he wins. Not bad. I was really happy with him that he was able to actually get a hold of that one. Let me pull it up real quick. What date did you say it was again?
June 29th of 09.
June 29th, 09. That's 08. June 29th, 09. He beat Executioner. So, yeah. Really surprised, but... I can't complain. Mantis had he didn't... how do I word this? Like, he didn't have the 13-inch stack color TV of cards anymore. He actually had a decent, kind of working deck, but he had the Wicked Avatar in that deck. So, Executioner gets Harakathy and has Samorg up. Mantis gets his thing, knocks out Executioner's Magic and Traps for 2 turns, attacks Samorg, game over. And the Pinball of Doom really surprised the Executioner. I mean,
yeah,
it's like 7 days into a reign, and he's like, okay, I'm going to try and do something with this, and then Mantis just stuns him. And it's like, well, I wasn't expecting it either, so...
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the series of duels that you had against Lord Anubis between April and July of 09 for the Pontiac Duelist League World Championship?
Well, April and July of 09. As you know, Anubis took the World Championship off me, which I think we covered pretty good.
Yep.
So I'm just going up to my records here. They were pretty good. I mean, he has a 25-day reign. I have it for an hour, then he beats me for the belt right back, 20 days.
Yeah.
Executioner ends up with it for 17 days. I beat Executioner, have it for a week. Mantis has it for 10 minutes during a endurance kind of like duel that we were trying out. Executioner gets it back for 9 days. Anubis has it for 16 days. Tiger King takes out Anubis, gets the title for the duration of Extreme Elimination, an hour and 34 minutes. I have it for 5 days. Anubis has it for an hour on July 29th. I hold it for 33 days after I managed to beat him back for it. They were really good duels during this time period, honestly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, me and Anubis trading wins. We had a few other people sprinkled in there. Executioner, Mantis, Tiger King. But really, Anubis, he really made something of himself during this time period. Yeah. He was really wanting to show that he was top of the ladder and I was willing to defend the championship at any time because it's like, I want to prove that this means something.
Yeah.
I really wanted to, and I felt like if I didn't show that respect and, give him the opportunities that he deserves because of all his hard work, then it would be all for naught.
Yeah.
But Anubis as a duelist, he really grew, and I was so happy for him. I mean, he didn't, even though he lost duels during this time, he didn't have a single bad duel.
Yeah.
Like, I can't complain about the quality of our matches.
Yeah, fair enough. What was done with the Pontiac Duelist League tag team champion during this time of inactivity?
The Pontiac Duelist League Tag Team Championship, we actually gave the duelists a choice. We could either do a tournament to crown new champions, option A, or option B, me and Executioner continue our reign, and you try and knock us off the mountain. Not a single person voted to crown new champions. Everyone wanted to be the team to beat us.
Yeah.
Like, look at what we had done. We beat Sigma V and Kappa W. And that just rang so, it's like, people wanted to be the team that beat the team,
Yeah.
It's like, we want to prove we're better than them. And the only way that we can do it is if we beat you for the tag titles.
Yeah.
That was another change that was actually made, was the reign of Sigma V and Executioner's tag team reign, because Sigma V was dueling with a deck that was not his property. January 25th to March of 2009, all of those reigns were stripped. So Executioner chose to have me as his tag team partner from that date onward, because the tag duel to determine new champions would have been a scratch.
Yeah.
And Executioner was the only player not eliminated in that duel, so hence he gets to pick a new tag team partner, and since me and him did so well on the 29th of March, he just figured,
let's just keep going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there any other returns to the Pontiac Duelist League during this time?
Tiger King was one, which I brought up with the Extreme Elimination thing. As you know, Chris, Kalar Draga, Mantis, Corvus, Pyros Wolfbane, he came back for a cup of coffee. We did have a few new people, like 5 or 6 new people during this time, but they just didn't hang around a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they'd show up like 1 or 2 times. You had Wolverine GB, he was one, but I don't know if he was in now or a little bit later. But we did have some potentials that just didn't quite pan out, unfortunately.
What was the quality of the decks that the Knights of Pontiac were using upon their return, and did you have to help them upgrade and reconstruct their decks?
Yes, I had to help all of them reconstruct their decks. I probably spent $100 each on cards to help them rebuild their decks. Because, with the exception of Mantis, they had no card sleeves, they had no deck boxes. And it's like, your cards are going to get absolutely annihilated. The first day back, I bought new deck boxes and card sleeves for Draga, Chris. Yeah. As I said, Mantis already had his, so... And then just getting cards to help support their decks, like the Flame Wingman for Kalar Draga and more hero fusions. Mantis, he has his really weird, like, user of all, master of none kind of deck. And that hasn't really changed. No. So there wasn't quite as much on his end. Corvus, he wanted to have his deck kind of modeled after, like, Tiger King and Root Beer Guy, because he really liked hanging around Root Beer Guy. So I had Root Beer Guy's deck formula. I pretty much remade that entire XYZ Dragon Cannon deck from scratch for him.
Yeah, there you
go. Because the deck they was using, the Warrior deck before that, was just garbage.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they was actually able to beat me with that thing, because it was rough.
Yeah. Alrighty. This one's a doozy. Why did you ask Mantis, Wolfbane, and Chris about Mantis's involvement with the Remnant and Sigma V in PTHS?
Well, yeah, there's a long laundry list, but let's do this first part of the question, and then we'll talk about the charges and everything that happened. I wanted to know what had really happened after I'd left the high school and everything, what Sigma V had done.
Yeah.
So I individually questioned all of them, even Kayla Draga, but she wasn't really involved. She had band and all that stuff before school, so she wasn't involved in all the drama and everything like some of the others were.
Yeah.
But I wanted to independently question them so that way I could see, are they going to tell me the same story or are they going to bullshit me?
Yeah.
Mantis was really... I'm trying to think of how to say it. He initially didn't want to talk because I think he was upset that he had done some of these things. But I gave him complete and total immunity from, I was like, okay, I will give you full immunity, and I mean full immunity. Anything you did personally during this time, you're absolved of. I want to know what the hell happened.
Yep.
And here's the list of things, 13 things that I have, which just about everyone had said happened.
Yep.
So let's start off with them, okay? Illegally changing the names of the Pontiac Duelist League and his championships. Everyone agreed on that.
Yep.
Illegally stripping Dzankic of the PDL championship May 2007. Everyone agreed that that happened. Claiming to be a PDL executive while not having signed the current PDL charter. That's a big one. My very last day of high school, I think it was the 24th of 2007. Which I can pretty much pull it up here. 07. So it would have been originally would have been the 25th, but then we got pushed back for snow days. So 7th.
Yeah.
So it would have been the 29th then probably. Let me just look at this because I actually, if I could go back up to this, I might be able to give you the actual date. Nope. So it would have been the 29th because I don't think I had to do the 1, 3, and 5th hour exams. So the 29th would have been my last day in the school. Because I was a senior, I didn't have to do exams if I was passing or doing better than, in my classes.
Yep.
So it's like, why show up if I don't have to, take the exams? So, during this time period, myself, Anubis, we finally find the PTHS records for the PDL charter and everything. My signature's on it.
Yep.
Dzankic's signature's on it. Sigma V's signature is not on it. This contract is not valid. It requires, as you know, all 3 signatures have to be present or the previous version stays valid.
Yeah.
Sigma V had no ownership of the Pontiac Duelist League. He was not the president. He was not an executive. He had no power whatsoever.
Yeah.
He was illegally making all of these decisions all this time without the authority. Next one, illegal termination of Mantis, Kayla Draga, Chris, and Pyros Wolfbane. Well, we could break this thing down a little bit. The termination of Mantis, yes, he could technically have done that because Mantis slapped me my last day of school.
Yeah.
That happened. But terminate Kayla Draga, Chris, and Wolfbane, what did they do?
Yeah. Right.
What did they do to necessitate you firing them from the Pontiac Duelist League?
Yeah.
Attempting to illegally remove Root Beer Guy and Lord Anubis from the Pontiac Duelist League. Everyone knew about Sigma hating Root Beer Guy.
Yeah.
And apparently, day after I'm gone, he terminated Root Beer Guy in his little tirade that he gave with Malachi and Kine. Lord Anubis, he attempted to, but I wasn't having it.
Yeah.
Bullying contracted PDL duelists to leave the Pontiac Duelist League with threats of physical violence. That happened, and all of them backed that up. Theft of Pontiac Duelist League members' cards. You have my deck that got stolen. Chris, she was strong-arm robbed of her deck when she tried to leave.
Yeah.
He forced her, with the threat of physical violence, to hand over her all of her cards. Physically attacking Mantis, which he sucker punched him. Was like, hey, got something for you. And the second that he turned around, he just decked him, gave him a black eye, knocked him out cold. threatening the life of a non-contracted PDL prospect, Corvus, which that happened. I saw the video evidence of that. Illegally asking an outside person to change the scheduled PDL World Championship match via MySpace, which he did that with Kappa W. I have the screenshot.
Yep.
Working with an outside group to overthrow the Pontiac Duelist League, which there were 3 groups.
Yeah.
You have the PTHS League Remnant, you have Central Illinois League, and then the Unoriginal 11, which was Eric's group, which arguably it could be Sigma's group too, because, you know, how much was Eric involved in this shit at the time? I highly doubt it. Next one, issuing a surrender on camera to an outside group is a member/president of the Pontiac Duelist League, which once again, he's illegally acting president. He hasn't put ink to paper. And then last one, falsifying card and gameplay rulings, which that one was a fucking big one.
Yeah.
I mean, a really fucking big one. And that being said, though, too, like, there was just so much evidence here from the 3 of them. It's not the fact that one of them said this to me. It's the fact that all 3 of them said the exact same thing when questioned separately.
Yeah.
Mantis and Wolfbane, they're not detail guys. They're like bullet point kind of guys.
Yep.
Chris, it was like 2 hours of just unloading all the stuff that happened in great detail. And it's like, not only is she backing up what they said, but giving more information. Yeah. So it's to the point where it's like, I can't dispute any of this from having happened.
Yeah.
So as a result of this, we blacklisted Sigma V, lifetime banned him from the Pontiac Duelist League, and aside from title histories and stuff, struck him from, you know, the register.
What were your thoughts on Mantis defeating you for the Pontiac Duelist League World Champion on June 29th of 09?
Defeating me for the Pontiac Duelist League World Championship. Surprised. Wicked Avatar again. I can't complain. I mean, it just showed that he had growth. Unfortunately, it didn't last. He only had it 10 minutes before losing it to Executioner.
Fair enough.
But, yeah.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the 3 versus 3 tag team duel on July 8th of 09? It would have been you with Lord Anubis and Executioner versus Mantis, Kalar Draga, and Corvus.
Shocked. They beat us.
Oh, okay.
They defeated us. And it's like, that just fucking happened.
Yeah.
It's like, Sigma V and Kappa W couldn't get the job done. But then you have that 3-on-3 duel. The first time we've ever done that, where we're showing the Knights of Pontiac as a united group.
Yeah.
And they beat us. Kalara Draga got Judgment of Anubis. And she was able to use it on a stupid powerful card. It wasn't a god card, but it was something that Anubis, I think, had gotten out. Either a Dragon Master Knight or something like that. And she just, bam, everything is gone. Yep. We just lost that duel. I can't complain. I mean, Kalar Draga proved that she was really at the top of her game. Mantis proved that he knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. Like, as far as being a coach, being a team leader. Draga, time and time again, she's the MVP.
Yep. What were your thoughts on Extreme Elimination 6 on July 24th of 09? It would have been you, Lord Anubis, Executioner, and Tiger King versus Mantis and Corvus.
Well, originally it was supposed to be 4-on-4, but Kalar Draga had something come up, and then Chris was unable to attend.
Yep.
So, it ended up being 4-on-2. They had double life points. Lord Anubis accidentally got knocked out by Tiger King, so he ended up taking the World Championship. And then I ended up with it at the end of the duel, knocking out Mantis and Corvus. Yep. It was a really wonky duel. As you know, shit happens. Yeah. You have to reschedule and, you know, kind of improvise on the fly. And it was what it was. I mean, I can't fault Mantis for his performance because it's like he did the best he could in that situation, but yeah.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the next Extreme Elimination, number 7, on July 29th of 09? It would have been you and Lord Anubis versus Mantis, Kalar, Drega, Chris, and Corvus.
So the shoe was on the other fucking foot.
Yeah.
Anubis, just to kind of like flex and be like, I'm taking my fucking belt back, knocked me out when he knocked them out. So it's like, I want my title back. And it's like, I can't argue.
Yeah.
Not only did you knock them out, you knocked me out, so I couldn't argue.
Yeah.
He did really good. I was really happy with Anubis during this time. Like, he was just turning in such good performances in his duels. Kalar Draga and Mantis, they were the MVPs of the Knights of Pontiac. I couldn't argue with anything that they were doing. Yeah, it was just an all-around good feeling. No negativity. Everything was just... It felt like it was right again, you know?
Yeah. Well, why did you fire Chris from the Pontiac Duelist League in August of 09?
Okay, so there was an incident, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because reopening old wounds and that kind of thing.
Yep.
It was a situation kind of under control. Her boyfriend got her drunk, took pictures, and that kind of thing, sent him to Kalara Draga, which really upset her. And I fired Chris over it. But knowing now that her boyfriend was responsible for that stuff, it's like, well, it happened, but at the same time, it's not as, damaging as it used to be.
Yeah.
Like, before we... Yeah.
What was your reaction to learning Sigma V had made 2 sock puppet accounts on the PDL Hyperboard?
Okay, I was not happy with this. The reason why I knew it was Sigma is that I had actually sent an email from his computer to myself, and I had gotten his IP address that way. Because I was able to be like, okay, this is the IP address, okay. The first account they did it with was Firestorm77.
Yep.
I identified it, and I deleted the account. Like, it's like, why the fuck is he here?
Yeah.
It's like, bam, it's gone. The second one, Granite Shield 89, once again, it's like, same IP address, and it's like, dude.
Stop.
I didn't say anything to him. I didn't even bring it up, because I didn't want to. I wanted to see if he would talk first. But he never did. During this time, I'm unfortunately still socializing with Sigma outside the Pontiac Duelist League, because it's like, how do I word this? I'm more or less trying to do what he's doing to me. He's trying to get information about PDL, who's in it, that kind of shit from me, pretending to be my friend still. Yeah. So it's like, fuck you. I'm going to do the same thing back to you.
Yeah.
I got information off of him, which I never told the truth to him.
Yeah.
He never told the truth to me. But it's like, it was this really passive-aggressive, kind of thing, and Sigma V's dueling during this time was just so god-awful. Yeah. Like, I built a traditional format beatdown deck, Dark Magician Summon Skull, and he could not hang.
Yeah.
Like,
it was just rough.
The fact that I'm able to drop Dark Magician turn 1 and then just pummel the crap out of you until you're dead.
Yeah.
It's like, we're doing this traditional format Konami rules. I knew how to make those decks, but I wanted to make it my way. So it's like, okay, just straight beatdown. I don't need to do anything fancy with it. No. All I gotta do is have board wipes in there and then just punch him for lethal and high attack monsters. Yeah. So I put in a bunch of Gemini Elves, Skilled Dark Magicians, Giant Orcs. So I just have punching power over whatever the hell he had. And the decks they had at the time, they were just... Like, the cards that he stole out of my fire deck to merge into that volcanic deck, it's like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And he did use Volcanic Doomfire in that thing, and it's just like, it did not work. No. You cannot get out the Blaze accelerators fast enough to do any of that stuff.
No.
In our format, you'd have more speed, but with Konami traditional format, it's not there.
Those things are rough.
And it's just, I punch through, I win.
Yeah.
I eventually got my Fortune Lady deck, which he absolutely hated because not only did I not realize I built Carly Carmine's deck without even trying.
Yeah, really.
But I also had Guardian Iatos in there with Butterfly Dagger Elma. So banish 3, she gains 15, and start off the duel. If I think it's banish your opponent's cards, pretty sure, right? With Guardian Iatos?
It might be.
2 seconds on that.
Yeah.
We're going to check. Because I know I special summoned it a boatload of times because I had no cards in my graveyard. Opening hand.
Iatos, there it is. I like how when I look up Guardian Iatos, it gave me all the other
Guardians, except for Iatos.
Yep. So
might have to go to desktop site.
Yeah.
It's the 3 there, and then hit desktop site.
There we go.
And then that'll give the actual effect.
If you have no monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can send one of your equipped spell cards equipped to this card to the graveyard. Then you can target up to 3 monsters your opponent's graveyard. Banish those targets, and if you do, this card gains 500 attack.
Yeah. So turn 1, I'm dropping a 4K, and it's like. Then you also throw in Asilipiscu, and you throw in the Fortune Lady shenanigans. And, yeah, those were the 2 main decks that I ran against him during this time, and he could not hang.
Yeah.
I think he ran a Cloudian deck, too, and he had a Plague Spreader zombie deck, but it wasn't built right, you know?
Yeah, which is weird.
Because it's like, it's hard to mess that strategy up, but he messed it up.
That's weird.
But, yeah, it's just like, I was not happy. And this goes back to the whole thing of him trying to stalk Lord Anubis online. He's like, oh, I fucking hate his guts and I want to beat the shit out of him. Well, you have his brother's ex-army, and then you also have Craig. They would have not done so nice things to him if he, messed with their little brother.
Yeah, even.
And I knew both of them, so it's like...
Yeah. When did you acquire the Japanese Merrick starter deck, and why did you want to buy a sealed OCG starter deck?
Well, going back a few years even before this, there was a card vendor in Bloomington. She would have Japanese cards, Korean cards, stuff like that. I was able to actually look through a Japanese Merrick deck at the time. And I just liked it. It's like, okay, this is something different. There's never been a Merrick deck released in America.
Yep.
Let's try and take this and make something out of it. I kind of combined it with Dark Arm Dragon, Dark Creator, Rainbow Dark Dragon kind of strategy because a lot of the monsters are darks.
Yeah.
I did not have any of the Gravekeeper stuff in it because it only comes with the main one, the level 5 one, the 1900. And I didn't really want to use that in my main thing because when did Merrick ever use Gravekeepers? None.
That's true, yeah.
He never did. So I made it a dark Merrick deck, and when I first played it, I'm like, this thing is too powerful. Like, it was a deck where it's about, like, your Stardust deck. Where it's like, this thing is ridiculously powerful. And for its time.
Yeah.
Like, for its time. Like, I've made updates to it now. But for its time, that thing was just so fucking ridiculous. It was... That's why I hardly ever played it. I loved the deck. I loved that I was able to push people to their absolute breaking point with that thing because it's like, okay, turn 1, I get out the Winged Dragon of Ra, and he's jacked up to the point where you can't touch it, and I'm hitting you for lethal.
Yep.
It just comboed so well.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the debut of Wolverine GB defeating Lord Anubis for the NWO Championship on October 6th of 09?
Surprised. But I was also happy. He was a duelist who wanted to be in the group. And it's like, okay, I'll give you a shot. And his first couple of duels in, he ends up beating Lord Anubis. Even though Anubis ended up getting the belt back from him pretty quick thereafter, I was really impressed with him. Unfortunately, he didn't stick around long enough to really have more of an impact during this time. I mean, he could have been really great. I mean, who can say they've beaten Lord Anubis on their first, real day in? That would be like someone coming in like Azarath the Woodsman, if he would have debuted and beat you, I mean...
Oh, yeah.
That would have been like, what the fuck?
Ooh. You want to do a little bit of unorthodox questions?
Sure, let's go for it.
So, funny enough, one of our fellow duelists in the group chat has just posted the OCG ban lists just now.
God.
As it follows, I'll get your live reaction of this. The Forbidden List was just added 2 cards. Wandering Griffin Rider and Union Carrier has just been banned.
In the OCG?
OCG.
Wow, I'm surprised they banned Union Carrier in the OCG. Because their playstyle is so much different.
Yeah, but I think it's the idea...
that you can search anything out of the deck, or...
I think the idea is, especially with how jacked Raw is becoming, especially there, I think the idea is you get Union Carrier, target Raw, equip it with Phoenix mode.
Oh.
And so then when they both go to the graveyard, Phoenix activates its effect.
Oh, boy.
I think that's the reason.
But the Griffin, I played that thing in Master Duel. I could see why they banned it. Like, that thing, you have a good card effect, and then you have card effects that are too good.
Yeah.
And that's always been the hard thing, is like balancing card effects. And people are like, oh, you always stick with the same thing. Not always.
Yeah.
There have been times where we've taken stuff off that we've made too powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Or had to put nerfs on something that's been too powerful.
Okay. So for the limited list, we got Swamp Frog, which that doesn't surprise me a lot.
Yeah, no, that one doesn't.
Aigido, the Ancient Century.
Don't know that.
I don't know that one. Keldo, the Possessed Statue.
Oh, the cards with yeah, Keldo and Zolga and Ildigo. Those 3 that got reprints and everything.
Yes.
So they're the upgraded ones. So it's like, that doesn't surprise me either, because their effects are pretty damn good.
Yeah. Spitright Jet.
Okay.
Herald of the Orange Light. I'm not surprised that a Herald got limited again.
Yeah.
Heralds are sometimes really annoying.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip that one just because it's funny.
Which one? Go ahead and say it.
Oh, no, I want to leave it for last for the moment.
Okay.
Primeval Planet. Oh, God, Pearl. I don't know this one.
Primeval Planet?
Planet, yeah. Yeah.
Don't know that one, but it's probably limited for a good reason.
Probably. Spitright Starter. A lot of the Spitrights. Floundenizer and the Magnificent Map.
Okay.
Not surprised one of those cards got limited.
No.
Because that archetype's pretty damn good. Time Seal got limited.
That makes sense.
Yep. And Yadakarasu
got limited.
Got limited.
Well, it was banned in Japan before with Time Seal, so I'm guessing they're like, oh, this isn't a threat. Oh boy, those 2 together in the same deck, if played right, it can be a threat.
Yeah. And now added to the semi-limited list is ABC Dragon Buster.
Yeah.
Yep. Double Iris Magician.
That thing was banned before, I think, in the OCG.
So. Yeah.
That's weird that they sub-limited it and not kept it limited.
Water Enchantress of the Temple.
Okay.
Tearlaments Hanvis.
Okay.
Dimension Shifter.
I know that one.
Yeah.
Kind of not surprised because it's,
Oh, one of the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales, which, if I remember correctly, that one was actually one of the big playmakers.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of shocked that one.
Semi-limited, but...
Yeah. Lightning Storm has been put on the semi-limited.
It should have been from the day that it was printed. Like, it's really almost too good. Yeah. It's almost too good.
And now to the unlimited. Oh, boy. Gen X Ally Birdman. I'm surprised he got hit with the unlimited.
Yeah.
He was a part of a good engine. He was actually like one of the few good Gen X cards.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that one got allowed. Danger Jackalope, which, if I remember correctly, was one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Spiral...
Resort,
yeah. That one got unlimited. And then Sky Striker Mecha, Widow Anchor. Widow Anchor.
Huh.
Oh, I'm happy about this one. Magical Meltdown has finally been unlimited.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
But what was the other card, the limited one that you...
No, it was Yanagrasu.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the one I wanted to leave
It's
last
like,
because it's funny.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's like, this is going to make things interesting, but then again, with how the tournament meta is, people aren't playing fucking monsters. They're all doing Mystic Mine.
It was a lot of Mystic Mine.
It's so bad. It's like...
It's a little ridiculous right
now. But
right.
yeah, overall, I'm 90% happy with that list that they just did.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Couple changes that I would have done, but personally, it's good.
Yeah. Why did you purchase Sigma V's card collection in October of 2009?
Well, I just remember that him and Dzankic were going to Bloomington to see Zombieland.
Oh, yeah.
They were literally going to use some of the $50 I was giving Sigma for that.
Yeah.
The reason why I bought the card collection is I knew that Kalara Draga, Mantis, they need the cards.
Yeah.
They need quantity. They need something to help build up their decks. I knew that Sigma had a very large collection of extras. The only thing he didn't sell was like 2 or 3 decks. I don't quite remember.
Okay.
Because he was still playing me at the time, so it's like, okay, I'll take them all off your hands. And he kept them in the drawers that were in the thing from his room even. He didn't sell the... It was like one of those plastic things.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I got home with them, there were a lot of cards, but some of them were just so bad condition-wise. They were stuck together with pop and other shit, and it's just like, why would you do this? I had to pitch quite a few of those cards because the ones that I didn't, I wiped off with a towel and everything and made sure that they were, good and all that stuff. That being said, though, too, I also found out that Sigma had stolen more cards from me than I had thought. Because I found a VW XYZ Dragon Catapult cannon in his cards.
Yeah.
That was mine. And do you want to know how I knew it was mine?
How?
Back in the day.
Yep.
I used to have this marker, a blacklight marker. And I would initial the back of the card. It wouldn't show up under normal light.
Yep.
But I turn on my blacklight, it'll glow with an M on it.
Oh, yeah. And
so...
that's how you figured it out?
Some of the cards I was suspicious about and everything went in there.
Yep.
And that's how I knew the Kazajin, Suijin, and Sangha were from the deck that I had initially bought from the Mike Lotus site. Because it's like, I marked all those cards.
Yep.
It's like, because even though I wasn't keeping it, it's just like,
yeah,
I'm being safe here, just in case, because it's like, he's done this to me before where he's reneged on a deal, so it's like, I wanted to,
yep,
kind of have that extra level of security and then find out that he stole way more from me card-wise than I thought he had.
Yeah.
There was other stuff that apparently had gone missing or whatever that I wasn't aware of, and that's part of the reason why I have this 100-plus page Excel sheet of all my decks and everything on it, because it's like, I can now see, hey, this deck is missing this.
Why?
Exactly. Exactly.
Alrighty. What were your thoughts on running into Nightmare at Walmart in Kankakee?
Okay, so this would have been either October 29th or 30th of 2009.
Yep.
Because I'd gotten the email where Kappa W had talked about shutting down his web forum and everything. But I was just so stunned to see him working at Walmart of all places. I could even give the address of that Walmart. Could I borrow your phone real quick?
Oh, yeah, what's up?
All right, type in Kankakee, Illinois, Walmart. Because I could give you the actual address.
Walmart. Gotcha. Yep.
Walmart Supercenter. Riverton Parkway, Kankakee, Illinois. I'm pretty... Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
Riverstone Parkway, Kankakee, Illinois. Yep.
There.
That's the one that I ran into him at. And the thing that I thought was so weird is that he didn't have a regular Walmart employee name tag. He had a name tag with his first and last name and his picture on it. And he was just kind of looking at something, and he wasn't even in the regular Walmart clothes and everything. He was kind of like in a, I guess, business casual kind of dress attire.
Yeah.
Kind of like, but he wasn't wearing the Walmart blue stuff. So it's like, I see the name tag, I'm like, what the hell? So I start walking towards him. And he went from having this really long goth hair to almost like buzz cut shaved head. Like, he has stubble on the top of his head, but no hair whatsoever. And I'm like, I almost didn't recognize him until he turned to me and looked white as a ghost. And then I'm like, oh shit, it's him.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple seconds to realize, okay, I'm walking forward towards him. So within the span of like 5 seconds or whatever, he's just still frozen. I keep walking. Just keep looking at him, and then I just put my hand out and say, thank you for showing me who my real friends are. And then he looked at me for a few more seconds, shook my hand, and then I let him go off on his little rant. He took credit for blanking my hyperboard and everything at the time and a bunch of other stuff, but to be honest, I didn't believe him. I do not believe a word that was coming out of his mouth. I think he was just bullshitting me because it's like he wanted to take credit for it.
Yeah.
Because like someone was using his avatar to do it, so it's like he was taking credit for it. And I let him rant and rave for 15 minutes or whatever. There was a Beethoven CD that he insisted that I buy and everything while I was there. I did. It was only $5. It's like, fuck it.
Hey, Beethoven's...
I asked him how he did the video and everything that he had uploaded on YouTube and everything. And he said he had gotten a Movie Maker program at the Dollar Tree that's right beside their building and everything. It's like, they have a Movie Maker program at Dollar Tree? Turns out they actually did. Because we went right there afterwards. But yeah, it was a very primitive one, and it didn't even work on my Windows Vista because it was
that old.
It was older. Like, you would have had to have something to make it compatible with your computer.
Oh, God.
It was either Windows 2000 or XP.
Probably XP. XP has a lot of conflict issues.
Yeah, that might have been it. But I didn't pick that one up because it's just like, I don't think this is going to work.
Probably not.
But anyway. That being said, though, too, there was something else that I found out that was quite interesting. During this conversation that I had with Eric and everything, he would bring up the fact that Sigma V had asked Kappa W via MySpace to cancel a Pontiac Duelist League World Championship match. And at the time, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Honestly, it wouldn't be till I got back to Pontiac till I was able to actually get online and confirm it. I didn't have a MySpace account at the time. I tried going to Sigma's account because I kind of knew where it was, but his was private. So I went to Kappa W's, and lo and behold, on his wall there is Sigma V asking Kappa W to cancel the scheduled Pontiac Duelist League World Championship match, which was supposed to be myself versus Sigma V one-on-one that day, December 28th of 2008. And the one thing which really puzzled me about this is, because I didn't have social media at the time, but how the hell does Eric know about this and I didn't? That was the first I'd ever heard of that. And as a result of this information coming to light, because we had been told that Sigma V was going on the trip with me and everything. We were planning on going, me and him, because Executioner and Lord Anubis weren't going to be attending. Me and him were going to steal the show, have a match, and kind of tear the house down. And then all of a sudden, day thereof, he's like, oh, something came up with my grandma. But his message on MySpace completely contradicts this. So, as a result of this, on December 28th, 2008, we stripped Sigma V of the Pontiac Duelist League World Championship for having an outside party cancel a Pontiac Duelist League World Championship match, which is illegal. The only person who could have canceled that match was myself. He would have had to call me and been like, hey, I'm canceling. But he contacted CapW at 2:41 a.m. in the morning of all things. 2:41 a.m. Let that sink in for a second. Why is he not contacting him at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning? Hell, why didn't he call me until I was trying to get him ready to go to leave? And yeah, I just thought it was, knowing now what we know, it was just him trying to play his own stupid fucking games and try and hold on to the title without doing anything for it. So, when Anubis found out about this and everything, and I also informed Executioner, we unanimously voted to vacate the title on the 28th, and as of January 1st, Root Beer Guy, who was the RDL World Champion, was also awarded the Pontiac Duelist League World Championship at the same time. And then at the very end, right before I had to go and everything, because I was with my mom and grandma, we had gone up there because she had a doctor appointment and she just let me walk around Walmart, do bullshit around there for a bit, do some shopping. But I asked him, okay, so who was it that was helping you this entire time? Who was it that was working with you? And he just asked me who had the most to gain from you leaving PDL. And didn't go any further on that. And it's like... And I had made a bet with him during this time, too. Because he was like, oh, you're not going to last much longer, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, with the plan that we have and the people that we have, I know we're set to last. The only person who's set to fail in the next... by the end of the year is Kappa W's group, which... I bet him that by December, Kappa W would shut down his Hyperport. He called bullshit on me. I'd already seen the email that he had mass sent to everyone because Executioner still had an account on Kappa W's forum. Because they deleted my account, but they forgot about his.
Yep.
So I still had the email for that one.
Yep.
So I get all the emails from Kappa W before he blamed everyone's account and all that stuff.
Yep.
So I made the bet with Eric. And it was whatever. If he won, he'd get control of my hyperboard or whatever. Yeah. I'd give him the password. But if I won, he would have to tell me who was working with him, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
He gave me an email address. And I had told him that when Kappa W blanks his forum, I'm going to create a doppelganger forum with my version of his logo and black and white coloring because Cap W used red and blue. Yep. I would use black and white. And then maybe some red in there or whatever. Yeah. But yeah. But I'd make a shadow of his forum and then we'd go from there. Only 3 people knew about that bet at the time. You had me. Yep. And Eric. And then Lord Anubis, of course, who I had told.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, I kept it really tight to the chest because I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, what if W doesn't do this? I had made a backup forum as well on my hyperboard. I had done a New World Organization hyperboard before the whole thing with Eric had happened. Yeah. That's how I was able to get my stuff back up so quick. Yeah. Is that I had this because back in the day, you could have forums listed and unlisted in the directory. Yep. Well, I made this New World Organization forum. I had it unlisted in the directory, and it had all the stuff, except for the journals and stuff, from the Pontiac Duelist League hyperboard. Yep. So I literally, all I had to do was copy and paste it back onto my forum to get it back to where it should have been. Yeah. But I also had, as you know, a shadow copy just in case someone else hit that one again. Yep. But during this time, it's like, I didn't know if Kappa was going to actually do what he said he was going to do or not, but I just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the Central IL League forum shutting down on November 16th of 2009 and the subsequent fallout creating the Ganger forum?
Okay, so let's address this in two different parts.
Yep.
Everyone in the Pontiac Duelist League, myself, Executioner, and Anubis, were happy that that forum was shut down.
Yep.
We were so happy that that thing was shut down. Because it's like, well, you threw us under the bus and you didn't survive. You made the biggest mistake because he's like, oh, I lost all these people because I'm associated with PDL. We're the only ones showing the fuck up.
Yeah.
Who do you have after we're gone? No one. Who do you have to talk to after we're gone? No one. We were happy it was gone. And Cap W tried to say, oh, shouldn't you be happy that you have competition? No, you have good and bad competition. You want good competition, not bad competition. There's toxic competition, which Cap W doesn't know the difference because he never took marketing.
Yeah.
But the subsequent fallout from creating the Doppelganger forum, I created it at like 12 a.m. The day that he had shut the forum, after he had shut the forum down. So like 17th. It shuts down the 16th. 17th, I create the Doppelganger forum at 12 a.m.
Yeah.
Built it up because I had taken screenshots of Kappa's forum, so I knew exactly how to get, everything the way I wanted it. And it literally only had 2 people on it, myself and Anubis.
Yep.
Not even a full day goes by, and I get a call from Sigma V, and he's like, Kappa W's mad at you for making this forum, and it's like, because I'd gotten off work at like 2 o'clock, and I get the call around like 1:30-ish. And I'm like, first off, shouldn't he be in school? Why am I getting this call now? And number 2, it's like, how the hell did they find the forum that fast? I checked the forum settings and everything, and I had it unlisted in the directory, just like my other forum. So it's like, how did they find this? Kappa W's web address for his forum was Central IL Duelists. Mine was spelled out Central Illinois Duelists, the full spelling. So you would have had a very hard time finding it, especially with it being a new forum. You couldn't even find it on Google yet. That's how new it was. It would direct you to Kappa W's forum, not to mine. Sorry.
Yep.
So anyway, I call Sigma V, talk to him, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, so how did you find out about this forum? Oh, Kappa W told me. Okay. I was like, okay, that's possible. I'll talk to him and we'll get this thing squared out, which wasn't really wanting to talk to him, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, it was happening.
And it's like, it's really weird that it's happening this soon, because it's like, it's not even 24 hours old yet.
Yeah.
Why are they talking about this soon?
This quick, yeah.
It's too quick. It's and not to mention the fact that it's not listed in the forum directory.
Yeah.
Because I went and checked that to make sure they didn't fuck up.
Yeah.
And I didn't. It was unlisted. So I call Kappa W, talk to him, blah, blah, blah. Now here's the weird thing. I told you that I met with Kappa W July 11th and everything, and I asked him how he found the forum. He said, yeah, I found it looking through the forum directory, which I know that couldn't have been true. My forum was unlisted.
Yeah. I
Google searched my forum. It took me to your forum, which I don't know if he's misremembering it or whatever. But I had Anubis on the phone with me because he was able to bullshit his way out of class or whatever, or he wasn't there. So he was able to get on the phone with me. I waited till he got off of school before I called them. And I talked to Kappa. I'm like, yeah, I'll put the forum in maintenance mode, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so out of curiosity, how'd you find my forum? Oh, yeah, Sigma told me about it. Give me just 1 second. hang up the phone, and I'm like, so Sigma is saying that Kappa told him.
Yep.
Kappa's telling me that Sigma told him.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people that know about this on my end is Anubis, me, and then the other person, which is Eric. So it's like...
Well, if it ain't me and it ain't you, that really narrows it down.
And who the heck is talking with Sigma V at this time?
Yep. Because it ain't...
Nighty Boy!
Yep.
Good old Knight of Mare. So this was before their falling out and everything. So he told Sigma about running into me at that Walmart. Told me about that web address. And when that thing went live, he was probably like, oh, he did it.
Yep.
And it's like, I kept my agreement. I knew that he was doing it.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just the uncertainty of, would he actually do it? But the fact that I also was able to kind of get them with being like, only Eric on that side knows things.
Yeah.
If they don't tell the same story, they're full of shit.
Yep.
But the fact that Sigma said that Kappa found it and Kappa telling me that Sigma found it. And I have that from Aaron listening in on the call and everything.
Yep.
And it's like...
Oh, wow.
It's still funny because it's like, I don't know if W misremembered that or whatever, but it's just funny that Sigma found out because of Eric. And it's like...
Alrighty.
Let's move on to better subjects, shall we?
What were your thoughts on Extreme Elimination 8 on December 21st of 2009 and its aftermath?
Extreme Elimination 8 was a very, very unusual Extreme Elimination. Let me pull up the records on that one. Because that was our first actual individual Extreme Elimination that we were having.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, let's have this thing. Let's see who's at the top of the pecking order and all that stuff. And to my surprise, looking at this thing, Corvus won that Extreme Elimination. Executioner started off against Lord Anubis, with Anubis going first. Executioner defeated Anubis on the 13th turn. 14th turn, Executioner defeats Mantis. Then Corvus defeats Executioner on the 18th turn, defeats Kalar Dragon on the 19th turn, defeats myself on the 24th turn.
Mm-hmm.
I was awarded the New World Organization Championship. Kalar Draga awarded the Pontiac Duelist League Hardcore Championship.
Okay.
I guess my thought on this is, my Extreme Elimination streak, my perfect streak of 7-0 ended here.
Yep.
And it ended by someone who Sigma V and Kappa W said was worthless, could never achieve anything, was not worth the time of day, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. He was able to improve so much that he was able to win Extreme Elimination and just dominate the thing. But this would be literally the top of the mountain for him, because it would be all downhill from here. As a person and as a duelist.
Yeah.
And his title reign would not last either. It really would not. For a standpoint of the Knights of Pontiac being successful in the Pontiac Duelist League, they were definitely earning their keep here. They were proving that they deserved to be here. And this is all before Savile even came in. But go ahead with the...
So, what were your thoughts on the controversial ending to the PDL Tag Team Championship duel? It would have been you and Executioner versus Lord Anubis and Mantis.
Well, there was a problem with the duel. Initially, we thought Lord Anubis and Mantis had won.
Yep.
But there was a pretty huge problem with that. Let me try and find it. That's not it. That's not it. there was a misplay, and it was a pretty big one. It was something that Lord Anubis had done during the duration of the duel. Let me try and find it here. December 7th, December 21st. Okay, no. All right. Lord Anubis illegally used bottomless trap hole on Slifer the Sky Dragon, which had allowed them to win. Problem is that bottomless trap hole wouldn't have worked because Slifer did not have the attack points at the time. Because I either had one or no cards in my hand.
Yep.
And because Slifer is on my field, he cannot special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra this time. Yeah. Because the ruling was a little bit different. He summons Ra, it dies for a turn.
Yep.
And because that cannot be destroyed by a card effect
that's what I was about to bring
or
up.
banished, you have a big problem. He cannot make the killing blow on us.
Yep.
And because of that, turn goes over to us, we win.
Yep.
And Anubis was really upset about this, but it's like, misplays happen.
Oh, yeah, no.
And it's only right that the previous title holder be given back the championship. You didn't really win. But it is what it is. I mean, shit happens, unfortunately, and there, unfortunately, are some situations where it does happen. It's not a bad knock on him. It's just a misplay happened. We caught it and then had to reverse the decision. So yeah.
What were your thoughts on the? Oh, whoops. Why did you film a video destroying the RDL World Championship belt?
Okay, so what was going on is that Corvus wanted to do a video where he destroyed the old Hardcore Championship, the actual WWE one, not the ECW belt that he was using.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm at this point starting to sell off some of the Jack Pacific belts to get actual belts.
Yeah.
And he pushed me for a couple months to do this. And I finally agreed to do it. Mantis showed that he could do it safely with a cigarette lighter and the Axe body spray to make the fire and do it controlled enough to where no one would get hurt.
Yeah.
Mantis had gone to a flea market and everything and got, like, you see that shoebox down there that I have?
Yeah.
Imagine something stacked 2 of those high, same width, filled with sealed packs of random cards.
Okay.
He got it for like $10.
Okay.
Just completely sealed cards from like the 90s, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Never been touched, $10. So, he threw out the idea that the one cards that he didn't want and throwing in some paper and loose stuff like that to use for the fire. And I'm like, oh yeah, fine. Like, I don't... Like, Cap W tried to actually say that there were magic cards in there. And I didn't see anybody looked in there, but then again, it was a big box, so...
Yeah, 1 or 2 of them may have slipped in.
Yeah, and sealed packs, too.
Yeah.
It's like... So it's like, we threw a bunch of random shit in there that Mantis didn't want. Originally, we were going to burn the old Hardcore belt, but then the value of that thing went through the fucking ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, for that one Jack's Pacific belt, you were looking at $90.
Okay.
And the other one was only going for 10.
Gotcha.
So it's like, I pulled an audible on this because it's like, I don't want to throw away all this money.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm looking at it from a practical standpoint. I own the belt. I want to, because I'm trying to get new belts in. I want to use those finances to, you know, but anyway, I change it on the fly. We end up burning the ECW belt and everything. Everything went fine.
Yep.
And there was a set of cards in there called Wizards in Training. And they were on top of the pile with the belt and everything. All right? So Mantis sets up the bonfire, the belt's burning and everything. Yep. And then filming gets done, we put out the fire.
Yep.
The Wizards in Training cards that he put on the top there
survived.
Did not burn at all. did not burn at all. And
That's
this
really
thing's
funny.
an inferno. And it's like, I took the pack and I took the cards and I'm like, I'm keeping this.
Oh, yeah.
And Mantis didn't dispute that at all. So, yeah.
Why did you create the Knights of Pontiac Hardcore Championship on December 28th of 09?
There was no salvaging the Sigma V Joke title.
That's fair.
The Pontiac Duelist League Hardcore Championship, there was no fixing it.
Yep.
It was so tainted by what had happened with it. We're just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Like, there was no point in trying to beat a dead horse. Like,
Yeah.
I did not want that championship in the group anymore. I wanted something for the Knights of Pontiac to show that they were back in the group. And I was going to have a triple threat between Mantis, Kailara Draga, and Corvus for the title, but that didn't happen, so go ahead and go to the next question.
What were your thoughts on Mantis versus Kailara Draga to crown the first Knights of Pontiac Hardcore Champion?
It was a really good duel. It's still up online to this date. Mantis ended up winning. He did really good in it. And there were multiple Hardcore Championship matches that day on the 28th. So let me pull this thing all the way back up to the beginning. Mantis beat Kailara Draga. Kailara Draga beat Mantis. Then Mantis ended up getting another title, vacated it, ended up coming back to Mantis. Then Kailara Draga, Mantis, myself having it for 15 minutes.
Yep.
Vacated. Corvus got it. Mantis. And then that's where it ended, was with Mantis having it for 3 days after that. I mean, that title right out the gate, it had meaning. They really wanted to duel for it. All of them did.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this belt's ours.
Yeah.
And I even got involved in that too, because it's like, you know what? I want to see if I can get a hold of this and everything too. I think the reason why I ended up vacating it is because I won the World Championship beating Kailara Draga for it.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
Funny enough, I believe that is... what were your thoughts defeating Kailara Draga to win the PDL World Championship on December 28th of 09 in your subsequent 45-day reign as champion?
Well, Kailara Draga, I don't think started that day as champion. Let me pull that up real quick, because I'm right there. December 28th. She beat Corvus.
Okay.
And the winner would have to face me because that's what we originally scheduled. But anyway, she had it for 12 minutes.
Okay.
She had the title for a whopping 12 minutes before losing it to me. Because the belt was defended way more frequently back then than it is now. I mean, I just gotta say that the duel that I had against her was so good for that championship. I mean, I cannot argue with, how that went, because she really put everything into that duel. I mean, out of all the duels that we had that day, me versus her was probably the best one. And that's not a knock on anyone else. It's just that she was really proving that she was a very solid champion. As far as my subsequent reign with that, I finally felt like I was hitting my stride dueling, even though mentally I wasn't quite all there.
Yeah.
I know definitely mentally I was not all there. But dueling Kailara Draga, dueling Mantis, Executioner during this time, yeah, it was great. I was really happy with it. I mean,
enough.
I can't say anything bad about it. I mean, 37, I think, is where we're at.
Yep. What were your thoughts on Lord Anubis winning the Knights of Pontiac Hardcore Championship on January 6th of 2010 and holding it for 175 days?
That record would last until Jedi Ninja broke it with 294 days years later. but that one stood the test of freaking time for the longest time. What ended up happening when he won the title is I was challenging him for the Hardcore Championship, and he managed to Draining Shield my Harakathy, which back at the time, infinite attack points.
Yeah.
And then he managed to Draining Shield, I think it might have been, oh shit, what the hell was it? He got me twice. I think it might have been my Winged Dragon of Ra that got up over 60,000 attack points.
Oh, Jesus.
And he Draining Shielded that too, and then managed to kill me.
Oh,
via it wasn't Exodia, it was...
Yeah, he would have lost if it was Exodia.
No, he got me with something else. Either that or he was able to remove my Ra somehow and then get me.
Exodia.
Yeah, which he might have been able to do, but I don't remember exactly the specifics. But he just wrecked me. He had my number that whole freaking duel, and I tried to overkill him, and I couldn't get my Harakathy out at all to, through him to, undo the damage. He played that duel so well, and then he also had Spirit Barrier up, so he didn't take any damage after a certain point from attacks. So I couldn't,
do anything, yeah.
Actually, I might... Come to think of it, I might have decked out on that one.
That would make sense, yeah. Especially with Harakathy.
Yeah, because more and more I think about it, either I hit Exodia when he had a God up, and I couldn't get rid of it, or I decked out. Because I did not lose by life points, I lost by something else.
What were your thoughts on losing the PDL World Championship in a Fatal 4-Way duel to Kayla Ardrega on February 11th of 2010.
Well, we had met at the old Route 66 gas station, Wiley's or whatever it was called at the time, the one by the river and everything, that used to have the pizza place in it and everything.
Yeah.
Well, we would do test duels there and everything. You had me, Draga, Mantis, and Anubis there. I was testing out stuff. They wanted to hang out, so it's like, sure, let's all duel. Fatal 4-Way, and Kayla Ardrega cashes in money in the bank on me and kills me when I'm beta testing an upgrade to my Fortune Lady deck.
Yep.
So she's world champion via a dirty, sneaky, underhanded attack. And I'm very impressed with it.
Yep.
Because it's like, damn, did she pick her spot good.
Oh, yeah. What happened during your meeting with the Central Illinois League members on February 28th of 2010?
Okay, so you know I do starter deck reviews and everything, structure deck reviews. Yeah. I had done one where I trashed the Spellcaster's Command deck back in the day. It was... Because that thing's garbage. Like, really, you look at it, it is trash.
It's just trash.
And then you have the Machine of Mayhem deck, which just came out. It has a 4,600 beater, but you don't really want to pull it out. You just want to use its swarm ability and punch with it.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything overly complicated, or get the big Saturn out, or get out Fortress out.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, Fortress itself can win you games.
Yeah, and it's just like, boom.
Yeah.
You just attack. You don't need to do anything else. It's just right there. There's no convoluted bullshit. It's just a straightforward machine deck, punch and win.
Yep.
And Kappa W got upset that I was saying that this thing was so good. And he's like, this machine deck is garbage. And it's like, are we looking at the same thing here?
Yeah.
Really? So Sigma got him to come over to my house. They had a Spellcaster's Command deck completely stock. Machine of Mayhem deck completely stock. First duel that happened, Sigma's using the machine deck. Kappa's using the spell counter deck, and Sigma just wipes him out with the big Saturn. He just runs his ass over. Yep. And it's like, okay, that was...
Par for the course.
Par for the course. Second duel, the machine deck kind of bricks, and it's like, well, it bricks, so, And even then, Kappa W is...
struggling.
Not so much struggling, it's just that he's got a passable hand enough to deal damage, and...
Yep.
That's it. Third duel, and this is the one that really had me fit to be tied. Because it's like Sigma gets one of the best hands he can draw with the deck and throws the fucking duel. Throws the damn duel.
Yeah.
You do not lose a duel with that hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those things where you're seeing it and I'm knowing that this is not right.
Mm-hmm.
That all these plays that he's making are deliberately bad, and it's not going to prove your point if you throw a duel in front of me,
Yeah.
I can see both your hands.
Yeah. Why even trying to hide it?
It comes down to the player throwing the duel to try and prove a point, and it does the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And it's just like... the only reason why it allowed them to come over to my place in the first place is that Sigma V told me that Kappa W would duel me one-on-one, traditional format.
Yep.
The duel starts, and I play a card that's on the banned list. And he's like, I said traditional format, and Sigma, being Sigma, was like, no, I said advanced format. It's like, once again, I had someone else on the phone during that conversation to make sure that, and it's like, and he's lying right here, but I can't have that person, chip in. And it escalates to the point where Sigma V threatens to punch me in my face if I don't shut the fuck up.
Mm.
And I should have thrown him out of my house at that point, but that might have actually happened during the Spellcaster versus Machina duel.
Mm.
But it's just like, it is so stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, I duel Kappa.
Yep.
I have my Blue Eyes Kaiba deck built up with Chaos Emperor and all that.
Oh, yeah.
He's playing a Spellcaster deck using Arcanite Magician and everything. I kind of get a meh hand, but I can work with it. He gets a pretty decent hand with Arcanite Magician and everything.
Okay.
Doesn't get the field card, but he's able to, do some stuff.
Yep.
Manages to take out, like, a little bit less than half of my life points.
Yeah.
And then through Witch of the Black Forest, I'm able to get a card to my hand and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember what it was I took with her. But anyway, might have been Giant Orc or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I managed to get Graceful Charity or something like that, which lets me draw 3, discard 2.
Yep.
I discard Blue Eyes and something else. Chaos Emperor hits the field.
Yep.
I nuke his fucking field, and he's got no counters. Because spell counter deck, you're not running traps.
There's, like, 2 that I think you could...
Pitch Black Power Stone.
Pitch Black Power Stone, and there's one that's actually a counter trap card. But I think it can only work against traps and spells.
Yeah, not monster effects.
I don't think it works against...
But yeah, I drop Chaos Emperor, and I'm not risking attacking with Magic Cylinder or anything else. I pay the 1,000 life points, blow up the field, and then duel is set to, I have no hand, you have no hand, let's see who can top deck better.
Yep.
He draws a magic card he can't even play, pass his turn. I draw a Giant Orc, hit for 22. My guy goes to defense, I know he's going to die. He draws another freaking magic card he can't play because he ain't got a monster. He passes turn. I draw Dimension Fusion. Guess who's coming back to my fucking field?
Yep.
Blue Eyes White Dragon and the dark monster that I had, which I think was Lord of D.
Yep.
So it made it even worse for him because it's like, now you can't target my dragon.
Yep.
And Blue Eyes hits, Lord of D hits, and he still hasn't hit a monster because he's at full life points at this point in the duel. And then comes back to me, Giant Orc to attack mode, Blue Eyes hits, and game over.
Yep.
But that was the last time I ever saw Sigma V. Like, him threatening to knock me out in my own house, that was the end of it. I was done. I wanted nothing to do with him after that. Absolutely fucking nothing. I blocked all of his phone numbers. I did not answer his messages. I did not answer any of his YouTube messages back in the day when you could message people on YouTube, all that stuff. Yeah. I just cut him the fuck off, cold turkey. I want nothing to do with him. I have not talked to him since then. I have not seen him since then. Yep. And that makes me very happy that that toxic individual is out of my life. It is over at this point.
Fair enough.
Completely done and fucking over.
Better topic. Why did you unify the Pontiac Duelist League World Champion with the New World Organization Championship on March 1st of 2010?
Okay, what was happening is that my Rated R belt up there, yep. I had contacted Dave Milliken, the Ace of Belts, to put my Rated R belt on real, genuine cowhide leather.
Yep.
Give it a 24 karat gold Pontiac Duelist League custom logo plate and gold tip.
Yep.
And we wouldn't have that physical belt for a few months.
Yeah.
For quite a few months. Because, March 1st, 2010 to February 11th. That's how long that belt was gone. Yeah. That's how long he had it. But, yeah, it's like, I know that with us not having that belt, we need to have something that we can do. So if we unify the two belts, just use the New World Organization belt as the world title during this duration, it'll keep the ball rolling and it will not mess up continuity or whatever for us not having this physical belt anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, Duel ended up being Lord Anubis defeating me, and yeah, once again, Anubis is proving that, hey, he's the man.
Yeah.
Like, he's really there. Like, I cannot argue with anything that is happening during this time period as far as Anubis goes.
Yeah.
Like, he is just so on top of his game.
Yeah.
Like, and then I ended up winning it on the 11th, 10 days later. So once again, bouncing back and forth between me and him, so.
Yeah. Hey,
41, I think, is where we're at.
What were your thoughts on the Knights of Pontiac FTW Championship reactivation on March of 15th, 2010?
The Knights of Pontiac, fuck the World Championship.
Yep.
Why can the Sigma V joke title not stay dead? Why can it not stay dead? Corvus can't win. So he's like, okay, I'm going to make myself champion again. And you get the championship, but then again, it's just like...
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't mean anything. Why are you... Like, I should have said no. Like, I really should have said no, because it's bogging down too many championships for not enough duelists.
Yeah.
Then again, with the World Championship and New World Organization Championship being unified, well, there is one less championship. You could make that argument there. But we have two hardcore titles now, and this one does not carry the weight. And no matter how many times you try to be like, oh, I'm the champion, it's not going to have that weight if you're not performing properly. And unfortunately, as a duelist, not as a human being, as a duelist, Corvus was underperforming. The problem was starting to set in. He was starting to have the issue of starting to cut and burn himself during this time. And that would only get worse from there.
Yeah. Who do you think was the strongest duelist during April 09 through March 2010 era of the Pontiac Duelist League?
Absolute strongest duelist?
Yep. In your opinion.
Anubis, 175 day reign as hardcore champion.
That's right.
Knights of Pontiac hardcore champion. I cannot argue with that.
Yeah.
I mean, he did so well during this time period. He did so well knocking me off of, the ladder of being the world champion during this, having the amazing series of matches.
Yep.
This isn't anything against Executioner or whatever.
No.
It's just that during this time, Anubis did a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because Executioner and me are still not losing any tag team duels during this time. Not a single fucking one.
Yeah.
But Anubis, one-on-one, he's top of the ladder.
Yeah. Alrighty. What were your thoughts on teaming with Executioner through 09 and 2010?
Best tag team partner, aside from Kayla Draga, I've ever had. Like,
All right, that one's a little bit biased, but
yeah,
fair enough.
I'm biased because she's my wife now. But during this time period, best partner I ever had as a teammate. I mean, we would back in the day. I would be the powerhouse. He would be, the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of flipped. He's the powerhouse. I'm the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Which it's not a bad thing that. With how we play, you've seen it. We don't really need to communicate a lot. We just know what the other guy's doing and then just react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's the best. I mean, let me give you 536 days we had the tag title together. 536 days, and it took Jedi Ninja and Burial 117 to finally break it with 665 days. I mean, until that team came along, I didn't think that record would ever break. I never thought that record would break.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I cannot say enough good things about Executioner during this time.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to speed through these in particular, so I'll try to...
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first one, who was the best Pontiac Duelist League World Champion?
During this time period?
Yep.
Okay, let's go through the short list, because it's nowhere near as long as it was the one time.
Yeah.
April 21st, Anubis has it 25 days. May 16th, I have it for an hour. May 16th, Anubis gets it for 20 days. Executioner on June 5th gets it 17 days. On June 22nd, I get it for 7 days. Mantis wins it that one duel June 29th, 09 for 10 minutes. Executioner gets it back June 29th for 9 days. Anubis, July 8th for 16 days. Tiger King, an hour and 34 minutes. I wish he had a longer reign, but it is what it is.
Yep.
Myself for 5 days on July 24th.
Yep.
Beating Tiger King in the Extreme Elimination. Anubis beating me for the title on July 29th, having it for an hour. And then I ended up beating him back on the same day, holding it for 33 more days.
Yep.
Executioner cashing in a Money in the Bank contract on me. August 31st, holding it for a day. September 1st, 2009, I get it for 15 days, beating Executioner. Mantis gets it September 16th for 4 days. Kaylara Draga gets her first world title run September 20th, 2009 for 31 days. Mantis gets it October 21st for 25 minutes. Anubis gets it October 21st for 6 days. Mantis October 27th for 2 days. Myself October 29th for 28 days. Corvus November 26th, 2009 for 1 day. Mantis November 27th for 3 days. Lord Anubis November 30th for 7 days. Mantis on December 7th for 14 days. Corvus December 24th for 7 days. Kaylara Draga December 28th for 12 minutes. December 28th, yet again, I end up defeating Kaylara Draga, having it 45 days. Then Kaylara Draga Money in the Banks me. February 11th, 2010 for 5 days. I end up getting it back February 16th, having it for 14 days. Lord Anubis March 1st for 10 days. March 11th, I get it for 10 days. And then Corvus gets it March 21st for 10 days. But I'd still say Lord Anubis definitely deserves his recognition as the best duelist during this time. But the best world champion during this era, probably me for 45 days because of duration.
And then we'll move on to the tag team champions.
That one's real quick. January 25th, 2009, still here, still the world tag team champions. All the way through all this time, undefeated.
Yep.
Some hiccups here and there, but technicalities, and it's like tape reviewing Duels 2, it's like, unfortunately, you have issues where you're hoping for a change, and it's unfortunately not.
Yep. The New World Organization champion.
Who was the best?
Yep.
All right, so NW 2.0, let's come up here, which this one should be... let's start off with... Executioner's reign actually began January 25th of 09, having it 111 days.
Yep.
Kaylara Draga ends up beating him. Holy shit, 34 days. I end up defeating her. June 29th for 30 minutes. Kalar Draga, 10 minutes. Myself, 3 days. Vacant. Executioner gets it back for 7 days. Mantis, 25 minutes. Lord Anubis, 2 days. Corvus, 5 days. Lord Anubis for 20 minutes. Corvus, 15 minutes. Myself, 20 minutes. Lord Anubis, 2 days. Mantis, 13 days. Myself, 1 day. Executioner, 30 minutes. Kalar Draga, 7 days. Anubis, 2 hours. Vacant again. Corvus, July 29th for 6 days. Mantis, 2 days. Corvus, August 6th, 30 minutes. Anubis, 4 days. Mantis, August 10th, 30 minutes. Anubis, August 10th, 1 day. Kalara Draga, 7 days. Anubis, 6 days. Executioner, an hour. Anubis, 7 days. Vacant again. Mantis has it August 31st for an hour. Kalara Draga gets it the same day. He has it for 23 days. Vacates it. Anubis gets it for 13 days, then loses it to Wolverine GB, who has it only for 20 minutes, then back to Anubis. Executioner on the 21st of October, 21 days. Anubis, 2 minutes, vacated. Mantis on November 11th for 5 days. Kalara Draga for 3 days. Anubis for a minute. Kalara Draga for 4 minutes. Anubis for 4 days. Mantis, 35 minutes. Anubis, 7 days. Corvus, 21 days, which surprising that he had it that long. I think the titles might have been locked at that time, too. I end up having it for 35 minutes. Anubis gets it for an hour. I end up having it for 5 minutes. Anubis has it for 16 days. Mantis has it 20 minutes. Anubis gets it back for 1 minute, vacated. Mantis gets it for 20 days. Executioner gets it for 33 days. And then Anubis gets it on the 1st. And then unified with the Pontiac Duelist League World Championship.
Yep.
So Executioner, 111 days. It's hard to argue that he is, the best.
Yeah. The Pontiac Duelist League Hardcore Champion.
Who was the best Pontiac Duelist League Hardcore Champion? Okay. I don't think this one is going to be quite as long, because there weren't a lot of title changes with this one.
Yeah, it looks like there was one big one.
Yeah, there was one big one. That's not it. Alright, so we start off with May 21st, Corvus, 169 days, Mantis, 3 days, me, 30 minutes, Kalar Draga, 15 minutes, Lord Anubis, 5 days, me, 30 minutes, Anubis on November 16th, 3 days, Kalar Draga, November 19th, 4 minutes, Anubis, 4 days, Mantis, 35 minutes, Anubis, 2 minutes before he vacates it, and then Kalara Draga, November 23rd, has it for 3 days. Corvus, 1 day. Mantis, 25 minutes. Kalara Draga, 10 days. Anubis, 30 minutes. Mantis, 45 minutes. Vacant. Anubis, 14 days. Kalara Draga, 7 days. Vacant for 77 days. That becomes the Fuck the World Championship. And then the 15th, we are in Corvus territory again with 36-day reign, where this time period cuts off.
Yeah.
But then again, it's the Sigma V Joke title, so do I need to say anything else about this?
Next one is the Knights of Pontiac Hardcore Champion.
Who's the best Knights of Pontiac Hardcore Champion?
Yep.
Mantis, first champion, December 28th, 09, 28 minutes. Kalara Draga, 44 minutes. Mantis, 12 minutes. Vacant. Mantis, 9 minutes. Kalara Draga, 16 minutes. Mantis, 1 hour. Myself, 15 minutes. Vacant. Corvus, 14 minutes. Mantis, 3 days. Holy fuck, we're finally out of December 28th. 31st, Corvus, 1 minute. Mantis, 6 days. Lord Anubis, 15 minutes on January 6th. Mantis gets it 20 minutes. Lord Anubis, 175 days. Yep. 175 days. Do I need to say more?
Yeah, really.
He doesn't lose it until June 29th, 2010. And he doesn't lose it in a duel, which we will cover the next time.
Yep.
Because there was an outside circumstance that forced him to, unfortunately, have to vacate the championship. But I'm not going to cover it this time. I'll leave you hanging in suspense over that.
Cliffhanger. Alrighty, now we'll get to the normal stuff.
Report card, and this one's nowhere near as big.
Nope.
Thank God.
Executioner, right off the bat.
Executioner Dairoku Tenmao. Holy shit, his dueling had improved. You know I'm very strict with my grading. Like, if I'm giving someone an A, that means they are really top of the heap. Executioner, A as a duelist. I cannot argue with anything that he did. A as a person. Like, as I said, he's one of the brothers I never had growing up. I appreciate every second I've spent with the guy. We've had our tiffs here and there, but none of them have been deal breakers. None of them have been caused by us directly. They've been outside people causing problems for us. But as far as Executioner during this time period, consummate professional, saved the Pontiac Duelist League. I cannot thank him enough. Yeah.
Lord Anubis.
As much as I don't give A's lightly, I have to give him an A. Like, he is at the top of his fucking game in this time period. I mean, he is pushing me to my freaking limit. Duel after duel after duel after duel after duel. And I got nothing bad to say. Personality A. Always bright. Always, happy to help you out with whatever you want. Yeah, I can't say a single bad thing about Anubis during this time period. Like, he helped me out of a slump that, unfortunately, I would be in until Sean American Outlaw, would pull me out mentally, like my dueling was there. But mentally, I was so fucked up by Sigma V and Kappa W during this time period that, looking back on it, I'm just surprised that people were so, not seeing how damaged I really was over all this shit.
Tiger King.
Tiger King, as a duelist, he had lost a little bit, so I'd say B. But his personality, A. Like, friendliest guy you could ever meet. I don't have a bad thing to say about him. He's a really good duelist, a really good friend. I appreciated everything that he ever did. I appreciated all the duelists during this time coming back into the Pontiac Duelist League review when they found out Sigma was no longer a part of this. And the fact that they were willing to forgive me for everything that had happened. Like, that was pretty damn overwhelming for, because it's like, I didn't listen. I should have listened. And the fact that they're willing to forgive that. I mean, I'm sorry.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's... Because I still, to this day, don't feel like I deserve to be forgiven off of that. But they did. Mantis, I have to really, with Sigma V out of the equation, there's no problems with us. We've had small issues with other people causing shit between us, but never directly just me and him having problems. Duelist, I'd say he's a B during this time period. Personality, A. I got nothing bad to say. Like, he really helped us coming back and everything. He got us back on our feet. I mean...
Kayla Ardrega.
Dueling, during this time period, she is pushing Executioner to his fucking limit. She is pushing me to my fucking limit. She's even giving Anubis a very hard time. Let that sink in. She's giving Anubis a hard time. B plus, borderline A minus. Like, I really... Because it's just, she went from being probably a B to
B plus.
Just keep going up. Like, she always improved. And even though she's working on a limited schedule because she's going to college at the time, too. I mean, she did so well. I was so proud of her. Mantis was so proud of her. But yeah, I'm just so happy during this time period that all of this is going well. Personality A. I've never had a problem with her. Never. So, yeah.
Chris.
Chris, dueling, unfortunately, she had backslid a lot. I'd say probably a D as far as her dueling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's being honest. I'm rough on my grading, but, she does deserve, unfortunately, a D, but her personality is an A. I mean, I cannot fault her personality-wise for any of the stuff that was going on during this time period. She was great to work with. I was so happy to work with her.
Yeah.
Granted, outside circumstances
Caused some problems.
Caused problems and caused her and Kayla Rodriguez's relationship to be broken, but...
Yeah. Wolfbane.
Alright, he didn't hold any championships during this time period. He was back for a bit, but, and this was before the problems that he had really started to surface. And we'll be getting into that, unfortunately, later. But, his dueling, I'd say probably a C.
Yep.
And personality was a B at the time. He's not very talkative or anything like that. He got along well with Mantis, so it's like, okay, let's do something with this.
Yep. Wolverine GB.
Dueling, he was a C. He could have easily been a B. If we had more time with him, if, life didn't get in the way.
Yeah.
He would have been a B. Personality, A. I don't have a bad thing to say about the guy. I mean, I really don't. It's... Yeah. I don't have a bad memory of the guy. It's just that his time was just so short.
Yeah. Oh boy. Sigma V.
Well, normally I wouldn't put him on this report card, but because of that duel that he had with Kappa W outside and his duels against me, I might as well list it. I dueled Sigma V 26 times once he quit the Pontiac Duelist League, and guess how many times he defeated me out of those 26?
I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say 1.
You are wrong. It is a goose egg, my
Yeah,
friend.
that's what I was originally going to say.
I would have thought it would have been a 1. However, there was a problem.
Oh.
He lied about a card rule.
Yeah, of course he did.
I had, I'm trying to think what the field card is. Future Visions up.
Oh, yeah.
He was running a Gemini deck. What happens when you Gemini summon? When you normal summon this card again, what happens when you normal summon? It gets banished. So it comes back in as a normal monster.
Again.
Which he bullshitted on that effect, and then looking it up later, it's like, no, that doesn't work. Every time he normal summoned, they got banished. They did not get their effects.
Nope. God,
so,
are you running Geminis?
The fact that he threw a duel against Kappa W to try and prove a point to me, the fact that he threatened to knock me out in my own fucking house, and all the other shit that he did to Kayla Draga, to Mantis, to Wolfbane, to Chris, and it's like, that was totally undeserved. The people who he strong-arm robbed in the high school of their cards.
Yeah.
Alistar, if you'd allow me to, I'd like to quote Phil Collins here, because this pretty much sums up how I feel about Sigma V. Well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, but I don't know if you know who I am. Well, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. So you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. Our entire friendship was nothing but a lie. I was a punchline and a joke to him. That's all I ever was. That's what I've been told. And I have the proof of it. Cap W even backed it up, because he had heard about it. I was a punchline and a joke to Sigma V. 3 years I wasted on that person who didn't deserve my time. And yeah, he was never my friend. He was never my friend. I just want to state that, for the record, publicly. That thing was never my friend. Friends wouldn't treat you like that. Real friends would never treat another person like that. So, comes to grading, personality, dueling, F. I'm glad he's out of my life. I'm glad that I've never seen his face since 2010. I've washed my hands of him completely. I will never, ever have another thing to do with Sigma V ever again. I've blocked all his phone numbers, blocked all of his emails, blocked all of his accounts. He's out of sight, out of mind. He's completely out of my life. And I don't care, honestly, I'm going to put it out there. I don't care if the bastard's still breathing air on this earth. I don't care if he's alive or dead. Makes no difference to me.
Fair enough. Oh boy. Kappa W.
Perhaps I was a little bit harsher with him on the previous part than, having that face-to-face with him now.
Yeah.
I know that he wasn't deliberately involved in any of this. He was pretty much kept in the dark, kept off to the side.
Yeah.
Like Sigma did with everyone else, which corroborates all the other stories I've heard.
Yep.
That he doesn't bring anyone into his inner circle, that everyone's against everyone and he's in the middle.
Yeah.
The talk that I had with him recently, it wasn't a bad talk. Like, there was only one little discrepancy out of anything that we talked about, which was the forum thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only discrepancy. Everything else that he said, I can't refute. Like, as far as his dueling goes, he had the duel against Sigma, which I'm not even going to count because Sigma threw that, but he had the duel against me.
Yep.
For a spell counter deck that was built and everything, it was surprisingly well-tuned, but it had the big problem of if it bricked. Like, once I Chaos Empered him, once I put him down to nothing, he did not recover. He did not get a single play that he could make, defensive, offensive, whatever.
Yeah.
The deck just, unless it gets exactly what it needs, it will not function.
Yep.
Once it gets cut off from that, what is your backup? What's your plan B?
Yeah.
As far as his dueling, I'd say C. Like, and it's mainly based off the spell counter deck. It is just not a viable format.
I was like, yeah, that almost just sounds more like a deck problem and not the duelist problem.
My main thing is, I'm playing a meta kind of like Blue Eyes Chaos Emperor deck. You're playing a spell counter advanced format deck.
Yeah.
Traditional format here, advanced format here. It's like, I got access to all these cards that you don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're playing a strategy that, under Konami's format, is so slow. Yeah. I mean, Molasses runs faster than this.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not, like, Imperial Order kills the strategy.
Oh,
like, if I would have got Imperial Order opening hand, he would not have gotten any traction in that duel whatsoever. None. Personality, knowing that wasn't his fault and everything, and the fact that he was, actually honest with me and upfront with me about everything that happened, I'd say a B.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, and that's...
weird to say.
It's weird to say, but at the same time, it's like, knowing that he wasn't informed or anything, that he was not brought into Sigma V's circle, like I thought he was, that he was maliciously doing this, which he wasn't. He was just misinformed as I was.
Yeah.
Like, even talking about, like, we even edited part of the other interview, just because of information that we had, but I wanted to keep it mainly intact because it's like, it shows the difference of the stance that I had without knowing what I knew versus what I know now, that it's not his fault entirely.
Yeah.
He's at fault a little bit, but not entirely.
Yeah.
Because when you're working with bad information, well, what's going to happen?
You're going to get bad results.
Exactly. And the partnership was not going to last because he had his way of doing things, I had my way of doing things, and he did not explain what he was trying to do to what I thought he was actually trying to do.
Yeah.
So, anything you want to finish this off with, or any questions you have for me, or?
Not at the moment.
Well, this time period's over. It was a long ride and everything. I mean, we did so much in this short span of time, like a year.
Yeah, it looks like most of it was just a year.
Yeah, from April to March.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get into the Reign of Terror in our next part.
Oh, boy.
The Reign of Terror begins. Do you want the quick synopsis of the Reign of Terror?
Sure.
The Executioner's 198-day reign as world champion.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Reign of Terror.
Yep.
I mean, this one is going to be a brutal one because Executioner, he was on fucking fire and no one could fucking stop him until someone stopped him. And we're going to also be doing the introduction of a very special duelist. Someone who you know very well.
Yep.
The introduction of Savril as well. So you have the Reign of Terror, the formation of NW 2.0, Savril.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ground to cover in this next one. I mean,
yep.
But it's going to be fun. Once again, Alistar, thanks for having me here and everything.
Yeah, it's good to get this one done.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, so anyway, this is Hollywood Big Boss and Alistar.
Yep.
I guess we're signing off on this one.
Yes.
Yep, have a good day, week, whatever it is, people.
Yep.
Take care of yourselves.